Hello, and welcome back. I'm your host, Solid Mercury, and welcome to the Duelist Table, segment on Yu-Gi-Oh! Information, and anything else really Yu-Gi-Oh! Related. So, for today's topic, I figured we'd talk about some of the classics. Classic archetypes, classic decks, how it was for people playing when the game started, and the competitive possibilities for the early game. So, essentially, my thoughts are, I still play Cyber Dragons. So I play from back in GX, when that was the case. So, my deck isn't a top tier, but it's a higher tier deck because of how I can play. Because I actually got first in our tournament just last week, and hopefully I'll get it tomorrow as well. But I played since the start of the game, since Yu-Gi-Oh! Came out. I had the Yu-Gi-Oh! The Yugi starter deck, and my friend got the Kaiba starter deck, and we went at it and had fun. We had our little rivalry. Then from there, obviously those aren't the best decks, but they were still fun to play with. Probably the most fun thing being, trying to stop a 3,000 attack monster with a 2,500 attack monster. It's a little difficult. But how we ran, we figured out how to play the game, and as the game went and evolved, we picked up more cards, edited our decks. My brother picked up cards eventually, being older than us, actually decided to be strategic and looked up what he needed for his deck ahead of time, unlike the rest of us, because we were stupid little kids at that point. So he built a deck that, quite frankly, should never be able to work properly. Aitu Koitsu Soitsu Doitsu. Actually, no, it was just Aitu Koitsu at that time. Soitsu and Doitsu weren't out when he built his deck. So, yeah. He built a deck around two fairies that were a union that were not very good on their own. And not very capable cards either. They both they ran, but they didn't run properly. And he kicked our asses. Mostly because of one single card. Fiber Jar. Biggest pain in the ass in the world back then. It's since been banned, and for a good reason. I'd love to see it unbanned just because I think the card is hilarious. Because when it's flipped, its effect goes off, and it returns everything on the field, the graveyard, and your hand back in your deck. Both players. And you both draw a new hand. It is an instant restart, except for life points and remove from play monsters or banish monsters. So anything that, it'd be freaking hilarious to see this come back now because of the fact that you could remove your opponent's stuff, Fiber Jar, everything resets, and all their key cards are out of play. It would be so funny to see that anymore. But I'm getting off topic a little bit. So my brother used to do that to us, and it was really funny because he kicked our asses all the time. Then following that, we got me and my friends' archetypes that we wanted when GX was coming out. I started taking on the Roids originally because I liked the machine archetypes and I thought they were really cool. And the fact of the matter was, I really only had one Cyber Dragon. I had to make do. I could not just, But he took Elemental Heroes, and those were great archetypes, and they still are. They still have amazing possibilities. Hell, the Roids could even still be useful for all I know. I've tried making a deck recently on Yugioh Pro, but that's all I've actually tried to do with it. So beyond that, the Cyber Dragons, as I built up my collection, I started building up the cards, which essentially was Cyber Dragon 3 times and Proto Cyber Dragon 3 times. Then Power Bond and Limb Removal and Poly and Overload. Essentially just building up the key cards that I could get. It worked, like, to the extent I always had issues, but I could always, it wasn't a you're going to lose, it's a there's a possibility you will lose. And I'm sorry for the glare on my glasses, I just noticed that. 2 screens, both shiny, not helping. But no, so, like, just proof, I still use my Cyber Dragons. There we go. This is like the 3rd time I've drawn this on my deck box too. It's just, just right there. Beep. Yeah, that shows a bit of how much use I get out of it. I open the damn box all the time, so it gets a little bit worn down. But Cyber Dragons are still a good archetype, and there's plenty of archetypes that can still be good from back in the day. Heck, the agents were coming out a long time ago. They're still possibly, good. They're not going to be top tier, but you can make them really good, because one thing my wife has noticed in tournaments, she's playing with her Macrocosmos. Remove from play, fucks up every other deck apparently. Shadows don't get their hit the grave effect. Necros, they can't properly work because their shit goes out of play instead. Cleese, gone. Top tier decks, broken, like that. And she plays Melodus, so she locks them out too, which is very good. Pain in the ass for us, but it's very good for her. But that's just, one card that can help change the tide of the duel. It's because agents can work off of being out of play if you set it up right. Heck, you could probably make an Aitsu, Koitsu, Soitsu, Doitsu deck if you wanted to nowadays and be good at it. Because my brother was a smartass and found a way to properly utilize the Union switch off for Aitsu by using Hidden Passage to the Treasure, I think, something like that. Essentially, that card was one that just goes, alright, if you've got a monster with 1,000 or less attack, it can attack directly this turn. So, Aitsu, 100 attack, and he has Koitsu on his field or able to get on his field and ready. So, he'd activate it. Aitsu now can attack directly with his 100 attack. Equip Koitsu. Equip other stuff. Add all the frickin' attack to it, and he gets to attack directly with 3,100 plus attack immediately. It was brilliant, but it's one of those things, like, you don't see people running this type of thing, and if somebody can actually pull it off, they can do a great job with this kind of thing, because these decks are still relevant no matter what people say. Any deck is relevant. A Blue Eyes White Dragon deck, a Kaiba deck, a Yugi deck, you can make them all. You can make a Joey deck. You could almost make a Pegasus deck. You can make Toons. Toons are coming back. But you can almost make Pegasus. They got rid of Thousand Eyes Restrict. Poor guy. I still wish they'd bring back Future Fusion. I would miss it so much. But there's plenty of cards that you can use that will help your play style, Old cards, one of the ones that I'd love to see be made, properly, is Fire Beast, Ice Beast. 2 Union monsters that equip to each other, and they're set up, like, they've got their cards so that way they can cycle out mid-battle who is going to be attacking and get more attacks out of it. It's brilliant. And you don't see people running this type of thing, because there's, all these other types of decks, the main decks, and nobody wants to challenge the main decks with an old version because they don't even think about it. Hell, I'm pretty sure a lot of new players don't even know about some of these cards. Like, as far as competitive possibilities go, like, I'd love to see people stop using all the meta decks and start grabbing like old archetypes and building them up. Fill the meta with old cards, for the love of God. You know, it gives you something new. Well, new. Yeah, old new, essentially, and it would make it so much more fun. Like, I'm not saying run a solitaire deck, you know, a deck that you play on your own, essentially, because those are kind of boring. But it's not a bad way to go, you know, having something that isn't top tier that you can make top tier. Like, that's what should be done, is people should be playing with more older styles. And I completely believe that older styles can make it back. I'm not saying go and have one person make that new old archetype work, you know, in a new way, and then everybody copies that same one, because that's the same bullshit that's going on anyways. Everybody should just go and make something new. Like, look at a bunch of cards and find one card that you like and build a deck for it. Make that one card your focus. Because I've looked at the Wicked cards before, and I tried making a deck for it. It gets hard. It's a bit more fun if you can manage to like put it into a pendulum monster deck, because essentially you just pendulum out everything, sack them, pendulum out next turn, sack them, pendulum out third turn, sack them. You just need 3 cards for those each time. So the first time you pull out 3, sack all 3, you got 1. Second turn, pull out the same 3, sack them, you get your second. Third turn, pull out your 3, sack them, you get your third. You've got all 3 of the Wicked Beasts on the field at the same time. And you can do that with the God cards too. You don't see that kind of thing very often, though. It's like one of our guys will occasionally run his Cleaforts as God Forts. Essentially, just puts God cards into the Cleaforts, which is neat. It's pretty much the same idea, but at the same time, he's still running Clees, and Clees kind of are annoying. But then we've got a couple of people, one of which runs, like, we've got 2 Necros players, which one of them wants to play ARG, so he's not playing his Necros, he's playing Cosmos. Very cool, you know, he's not playing a standard deck. It's, well, I guess it's going to be standard, I guess, you know, it's one of the newer ones. But he plays with Necros, but he doesn't want to play with Necros all the time. He's getting bored with it because, you know, it's a stale format. People aren't changing their shit. Our other Necros player, though, plays non-standard. He plays essentially a fun version of Necros, where I actually feel it's harder to beat him than a competitive Necros player. Like, he runs a Legendary Ocean, which knocks down his stars for all the water attributes. So then all of a sudden he can summon out his rituals a lot easier. Like, you can't really blame him for that. That's a smart move. Then we've got our Cleafort player, which I said, you know, God Forts occasionally. We've got a few Shadol players, which aren't bad, but Shadols are just kind of annoying in most cases. Now, mind you, with us trying to play the ARG format now and then, we've also gotten, you know, Clown, I guess Perform Mage, Trick Clown, Shadols or something like that, which, pretty cool. Not terribly great, but pretty cool. Like I said, my wife kind of crushed one of them. Macrocosmos fucks up a lot of stuff. But no, there's plenty of stuff you can do to change up your decks and not play the standard, this is what won at a big tournament, so I'm going to play the same thing everyone else played, and everyone else is playing because, it's been reported that this is what it was, and everybody's just going to fucking copy it. No. Quite frankly, it's stupid to think that something like that would be a good idea. Like, quite frankly, I don't think anybody playing the same deck over and over again is smart. And by that I mean the same deck every week. No changes more than like one card. Because if you ever see my deck has gone through a change multiple times in a week. I hardly ever go without changing my deck. It's so frequent that it's never the same. Like, you've got your standard cards, but I swap stuff out so that way I have substandard cards that are all useful. And my computer just tried to go to sleep on me. Apparently, I've been going for too long. About 15 minutes is too long for it. But tell me what you guys think. Tell me in the comments, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe, and all that junk if you like the content. If you want to see more Yu-Gi-Oh discussions, this was the Yu-Gi-Oh Classics discussion. And tell me what you guys think on this type of thing. Would you play an old archetype? And if so, if you need ideas, let me know. I played since the start. I can easily look something up to try and help you. It's not that hard to find something. Like, obviously, like, I've even considered a normal archetype. Normal monsters only. It would be difficult, but the amount of plays you can do just because of spells and traps out there is way up there. Like, seriously, way up there. But yeah, no, let me know what you guys think, and yeah, tell me if you're interested in trying this. Let me know, and I can even suggest some stuff. Alright? Thank you guys for watching. Have a good one. Bye-bye.